Hello again, 10th grade. I have a picture I'm going to show you guys and then go over announcements very quickly. First, I want to pray for you guys. I know some of you all had requested that I not just pray for you on my own, but that you actually wanted to hear me praying for you guys. So you'll just take a minute to bow your heads, please, and I will do that. Dear Lord, thank you for this morning and for these students. I ask that you would give each one a comfort and your peace today. Help them as they navigate new ways of doing things, as they also navigate just interacting with their families in a different way than they have maybe in a while. All the things that are going on that maybe that they don't share with us. I ask that you would give them just a sense of your peace and a true sense of your presence. I ask that the listening assignment that I'm having them do would be a time when maybe you speak to their hearts, that they can be able to have just a few minutes of quiet and rest for their mind. I ask that you would help all of us to rest in you during this time, that you would give teachers clarity and patience and wisdom as to how to best serve our students. Give us the energy that we need as we adapt. I ask that you would do the same thing for our parents and for our students, and ask that you would help those who are truly alone, maybe even all the time before we're quarantined in our homes. I ask that you would help them to not be forgotten, that you would help us to reach out to others during this time and not just think about ourselves. I ask that you would help each student especially to see your provision in their lives. I'm reminded of the story of Hagar, one of my favorites, in which, she was out in the desert alone, and she had her son Ishmael there, and he was crying and he was thirsty and they were going to die. And she's praying to the Lord. She's been abandoned, and she prays to the Lord, and then it says, and he opened her eyes, and she saw a well there. And oftentimes, Lord, I think we get so caught up in the moment that we don't see your provision. And so I don't only ask for your clear provision and protection, but that we would be aware of it when it happens, that you would get the glory for that, and that we would just be strengthened in our faith with it. I ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. All right, so today, again, just some brief announcements and some discussion on discussion. First, I want to show you the picture, the School of Athens. This is my absolute favorite painting, and I got the picture from the public domain, so it's okay for me to show it to you. This is a painting by Raphael, and it has Plato and Aristotle and a whole bunch of philosophers in there just sitting around and having really leisurely ways of learning. So you see some of them bent over doing mathematical things, asking questions. You've got with Michelangelo there in the middle, in the purple. He's just contemplating some things. And then you have Plato and Aristotle, of course, in the middle, and they are walking through. So you hear about the Lyceum, and then you also hear about the walking school. And one of the things I love about this picture is you get a little picture of what it ideally, obviously, this is a painting. My mom had this memorized a verse from Deuteronomy. It's called the Shema, where it talks about, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, as well as your mind. These words that I have written for you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, when you rise. You shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. And that's just, right now we've got that opportunity to make sure that we are learning, hopefully, along with you. I know that there are people who are still leaving to go to work, and different schedules for different families, but hopefully this is a good opportunity for that. So I also want to take advantage of that in our virtual classroom with discussion posts, and I will go over some thoughts for that here in a moment. So I'm going to share my screen with you again. And okay, so announcements for today. We have video that you found. Again, I'm posting that in its own unit topic. That way it pops up on your calendar, and then there'll be the attendance question there. Make sure you answer that. It's okay that some of you have posted that on the class wall, but if you would go ahead from now on and just where you see that announcement, if you'll post it there, that way they're all lined up together and you can see each other's responses there too. That might be a quick little community check-in thing. I don't know. Clarification on vocabulary adjustment. So I posted this on the wall. I decided to go with my gut, and I checked in to make sure it was okay that I did this. And I'm not going to grade vocabulary practice work. I'm only going to grade the quizzes in their open book. So I still left the suggestions for ways that you can review and study for those. And you can do those, but I'm not going to put the pressure on you all to submit all those little nitpicky assignments. So, and I've got clearance to do that. So anyway, so today's work, Act 1 and 2 quiz, you'll have that. Remember, it's open book, open notes. It's going to be just 10 multiple choice questions. And then your reading schedule is due today. So if you'll upload that, remember that's your guideline, that's your plan. It is not the Constitution of the United States. It's just to make sure that you don't have a last minute freak out. And then be reading Act 3 for Friday's quiz. I will talk to you guys more about that in tomorrow's video, but you probably want to go ahead and start reading that today. Also, I would recommend, if you have time, go ahead and look at that initial post for the simplicity discussion, because you're supposed to post and then you're supposed to respond to 2 other people's posts. So I want to make sure that you're not feeling like you have to cram that in at the last minute. Okay. So today, just in light of our School of Athens photo and our discussion post, I want to review kind of our 3 types of questions, listening, and types of comments to make on discussion posts so that it can be really fruitful. Because I've been in several different online classes, and sometimes that can go really well and be fruitful, and then sometimes it's just really boring. And so I want to maybe help us to navigate that in a way that is productive for everybody involved. All right, so some things that you can discuss, and I've uploaded the document that I gave you all on what to discuss in a Harkness table, so this is going to be really similar. I uploaded that with the discussion board etiquette on the place where I put the simplicity discussion board, so all of that's together. So you can talk about, when we're talking about literature, of course you can talk about comprehension and interpretation. That is totally fine. It is great to be able to learn from each other. So that's a safe place to do that. In my master's program, when we're working through a difficult text, we'll ask each other, hey, I really didn't get this section. Did anybody else get that? Or, hey, you seem to really understand this part. What did you think about this other section? That's fine. And if we follow the etiquette practices, then it'll be a safe place to do that. We can also discuss themes in philosophy that you notice, the tone or the mood, the poetic and literary elements. Really with these more worldview and modern works the last 9 weeks, I'm probably going to focus way more on theme and philosophy and personal life application. I think that that's just a really natural place where you're going to end up at the end of the school year, but also during this time, I think that's really important. So we can talk about poetic and literary elements, but you don't read a book to identify the poetic and literary elements. You identify the poetic and literary elements to help you as you read richer texts as you get older. So we can talk about character development, author style, and reasoning and rhetoric. So all of those different components are things we can discuss. Again, personal application is a great thing too. So the ways to build off of someone else's comment when you respond to someone else's post. So usually I'll post a question. I'll get to where I collect questions from you guys and post them. But for right now, I'm going to share the burden of coming up with the questions. But when you respond to each other, instead of just putting like, I agree, or that was really great, or oh, you said that's so awesome, or yeah, I don't really know about that. That kind of stops the conversation, and then you don't have a conversation anymore. And so that's where discussion posts kind of go, like they just go wonky and they don't work anymore. So what I would do is think of, and some of you already do this in a scored discussion and a Harkness table, you just don't know it, but you use phrases like the ones I've listed here. So I like what you said about XYZ, which also made me think, yada, 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 add your own thoughts. Or I hear this one from you guys a lot, going off of what so-and-so said about, and then you say what they said, and then you add your own thoughts. You could even say, you said this part really well, but what do you think about? And you can kind of try to draw something out of your classmates. I agree, but I also think, or if you disagree, you can say that and then like give your reason why. So those are just some ways to build the conversation. Questions you can ask. So we've got probing, like, what do you mean by? Could you clarify? Where you ask your classmates questions. Avoid yes or no questions because those don't really lead anywhere. So try to keep them a little open-ended. Our interpretive and evaluative questions. So here's some examples of types of questions you can ask your classmates. What elements did you find difficult? What do you think that this character or Kant, that's who I'm having to read this week and he's really difficult. What do you think he means when he or she says blah, blah, blah? How does this literary element contribute to the author's theme, purpose, style? What does so-and-so believe about this? So you could pick the character or the author, and then you could go with whether or not you all agree or disagree. The key thing here is that we don't have a right to agree or disagree with a character or an author until we understand what they're saying. So we want to make sure that we're fair to them first. So again, what is the tone? What's the author want us to believe about X, Y, or Z? What do other characters believe about this? What does the Bible say? What does the text teach us about God, humanity? So some of those bigger questions that you can ask each other. And of course, you don't have to ask them exactly in the format that I provided. Those are just like models. Evaluative, this is probably, especially in the 10th grade, where you guys are wanting to go in these discussion posts. And when you did your Fall of the House of Usher discussion, you did an awesome job. It was pretty impressive. Do you agree with this person when they did or they said, yada, yada, yada? What did you enjoy? What elements make the work beautiful? What truths were expressed? Were there any ideas presented directly or implied that you find unbiblical? What were they? So we're going to find a combination of those because people are made in the image of God, but then we're also sinful. So you can have an author who may or may not be a believer, and they may or may not have some biblical truth put in there. And obviously you all know that, all truth is God's truth. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a Bible verse for it to be a biblical truth. Okay, so that was for just a few pointers and reminders as you work over the next few days. If you need a laugh, this is obviously not required. I know some of you all like Tim Hawkins. Somebody mentioned that once. He's a Christian comedian that is funny, and he also, as a homeschooler, my family, we really appreciate some of his homeschool jokes. So this one video, if you looked it up, Homeschool Blues, it is just this little cute thing about being educated at home. And given the fact that you all are at home now, this is one that you could probably get a few laughs from, just from the things that you're experiencing. So if you need a laugh, there you go. Obviously not required. I know you guys are busy, but if you have any questions, again, email me or try the chat. If the chat gives you difficulty, try refreshing the page or logging out and then logging back into LMS. I've had to do that a few times, and I know there's a lot of people on there. So we do want to answer your questions. Technology is just not perfect, but in some ways it's better than nothing. All right, well, go ahead, enjoy your day, and hopefully you'll have some good time to get some work done. I'll talk to you later. Bye.